And dad's there and he's like, well, I hope you guys had fun because you're fucking grounded.
People saw through it. They see through the scam. And that's what she's complaining about here. There was one part of the new Marilyn Manson documentary that did crack me the fuck up. It's when they interviewed Ashley Walters, his former assistant, who is now suing him for a bunch of money, and she's claiming repressed memories from her 20s. You know, we all repress all kinds of things from when we were grown, cognizant people, right? But anyway, she's interviewed in this. One point, the topic is raised of Ashley Morgan Smithline, a different Ashley, who was one of Manson's main accusers and ended up flipping and declaring in a legal affidavit that the whole thing was a big MeToo hoax that she had been basically sort of lured into by Evan Rachel Wood and Esme Bianco. Well, anyway, there's a part in the documentary where this comes up and is discussed.
Ashley called me. She said, I really want to tell the truth. I feel horrible what's happened. You know, I was persuaded for a minute by Evan that I had been raped, and that was false.
There's a part in the documentary where this comes up and is discussed, and Ashley Walters comments on it.
It's false. I don't know how Evan would recruit people. Like, it just didn't happen. It just didn't happen. Recruit people. Like, it just didn't happen. It just didn't happen.
You don't know how the fuck she'd recruit people. What? You were the one that recruited them. You were the one that gave her all of the information. You were his former assistant, and you took all of this information, lady. You had access to passwords, social media accounts, emails, texts, all of this shit. And you were the conduit. You were the pipeline by which Evan recruited these other liars to go after Manson. What do you mean? What do you mean? How would she do it? I don't know how she'd recruit people. That's just silly. To have the recruiter is sitting there saying she is baffled at how Evan Rachel Wood was able to recruit people. Oh, man. All right. So there's another part that really cracks me up too in this show. And it's when Evan Rachel Wood is complaining about the Justice for Johnny Depp movement and how that silenced victims and so discouraging to victims and all of that. And she uses this crazy metaphor. Listen.
People are just foaming at the mouth for survivors' voices to be, discredited or taken away.
Misheard, shouldn't be claiming that she's a domestic violence survivor and lying about it.
My sense is the pendulum is swinging the other way. People are looking at these cases and starting to realize that maybe we've gone a little too far with this maxim that you must believe the woman whatever she says.
The way it feels right now, being a survivor that's come forward in the wake of Me Too, after survivors have had their moment, it feels like oh, we've just had a joyride in Dad's car. And now we're home and Dad's there and he's like, well, I hope you guys had fun because you're fucking grounded. And now we're in the period of, I hope you enjoyed your joyride and your moment of power because now you're really going to get it.
This is what I want you to understand here. This is such a tell, this metaphor that she uses and actually discusses in a sort of extensive way here. This is such a tell that something is deeply, deeply wrong with her and with her allegations against Marilyn Manson. Because she depicts the struggle of a supposed sexual assault survivor and Me Too accuser, as she's purporting to be, and as she sees other women. She depicts that as a joyride, as the equivalent of someone stealing a car and going on a joyride. This is such a tell that this whole thing is a fucking joyride for her. That's exactly what this is metaphorically. She was bored with her life. She wanted to be an activist. She had some personal access to grind, and it's been a fucking joyride for her. Although it's not, I don't think, been as much fun as she thought it would be. In fact, I think it's been pretty difficult because people saw through it. They see through the scam. And that's what she's complaining about here. She says, we stole the car. We went on a joyride. We wanted to have a good time. And then these justice for Johnny Depp types, justice for Marilyn Manson types, justice for Justin Baldoni types, they come in here and they stop all the fun. Well, yes, sweetie, because you were trying to ruin innocent people's lives with your fun. If you want to use the metaphor of a joyride, let's talk about a drunken joyride where you go out and your fun is to run over people in your car. And by the way, while we're talking about drunken joyrides and stealing daddy's keys, was there no sense of irony by anyone working on this documentary about the fact that they included this metaphor from Evan Rachel Wood when in fact, one of the primary accusers, Ashley Walters, from a little while ago, she stole Marilyn Manson's car when she was working for him. She went on an unauthorized drunken joyride. She wrecked the car and totaled it. She got a DUI. Oh, by the way, Esme Bianco was along for this ride too. And this is acknowledged in her lawsuit because there's no way to get around it when you get arrested for a DUI after you steal your boss's car. So these are the kinds of people that we're talking about here. And Evan Rachel Wood, that was a really poorly chosen metaphor in a number of respects. And let me say one more thing, Evan Rachel Wood, while we're on the topic. You may or may not know if you watch my show that I am quite the fan of Freud. And I wonder what Freud would have to say, Evan Rachel Wood, about the daddy joyride metaphor. Because you have, as you have admitted and discussed many times, you have a very fraught history with your own father, who you have depicted at various times as being emotionally and psychologically abusive. And I just have to wonder, when you talk about your MeToo accusations and your fight as a supposed survivor as a joyride stealing daddy's car, and then daddy comes in and says, and I'm going to put a stop to your fun now, and he puts a stop to the whole fun exercise. I have to wonder if you're using that metaphor because unconsciously what you have been doing to Marilyn Manson, to Brian Warner, and the hell that you've been putting him through with false allegations, I wonder, does that not in fact have something to do with your own daddy issues, your own deep-seated psychological traumas related to your father, and the fact that you are now trying to punish an innocent man, and through that work through some kind of psychological exercise pertaining to unresolved feelings that you have with your own dad? So, stealing daddy's car and going on a joyride, that's your metaphor? As Jesus says in the Bible, thou hast said it, not I. And what you've just said there, Evan, it's such a giveaway. Such a giveaway. Crazy. I think you're crazy. I think you're crazy. I think you're crazy.